Does the European Union have a government? To start with, we need to be clear what we mean by a government. This can sometimes refer to the whole political system of a country, but today we'll use its more specific meaning referring to the executive of a country. This is the body which implements law and policy and spearheads changes to law. It's typically headed by a prime minister or president who is supported by a cabinet of ministers or secretaries, each overseeing a department or policy area. Now, all countries have a government, but in Europe, 27 countries have done something rather unique. They've created a European Union which, while not yet quite a country, does come close. It has laws, a budget, free movement, and a currency. So you might wonder, does it have a government? Well, as is often the case with the EU, it's not entirely straightforward. There are two institutions which could claim the title, the European Commission and the European Council. The Commission looks most like a government. It's led by a president who's supported by a team of commissioners, each overseeing a department or policy area. Every day, each commissioner takes decisions about the practical implementation of EU law, helped by a civil service of around 32,000 staff. These decisions often generate headlines around the globe, such as fines issued against huge corporations like Google and Facebook for violations of competition or privacy law. Perhaps most significant though, only the Commission can formally propose law. While nothing can become law without the approval of Parliament and Council, they can't actually propose law themselves. That affords the Commission a lot of power in setting the agenda and terms of debate. Now, things get a little more complicated when we get to the European Council. To start with, this isn't to be confused with the Council of the EU or the Council of Europe. These are three different institutions. The European Council is a little unusual. Before 2009, it was just an informal meeting of the prime ministers and presidents of each member state. It was written into law in 2009, but is still quite informal. For the most part, it has no direct role in lawmaking or daily governance. It meets whenever member states want to discuss the general direction of one or more EU policies. They have frank and private conversations, smoothing over disagreements further down the road. Rather than a government, it's more a forum for dialogue, strategy, and dispute resolution. It has a lot of influence in choosing the president of the Commission, but the president can't be appointed without the approval of Parliament, and that's the most important factor here. Parliament is the only directly elected part of the EU, and as a result has increasingly claimed that only it has the right to choose the president after each election. It aspires to make its elections just like elections to national parliaments in places like Germany and Spain, where the largest parties form a coalition government. At the time of this video, Parliament hasn't yet achieved its vision, but there has been progress. In 2014, the President was essentially chosen by Parliament. It wasn't able to repeat that accomplishment in 2019, but the President who was appointed has worked closely with Parliament. The bottom line is that the trend is towards democratic reform, and the Commission is a central part of that. So, to recap, the Commission does the daily work of government. It makes global headlines through huge decisions, it sets the lawmaking agenda, and it's at the center of the project for democratic reform. Therefore, in the end, it is fair to say that the Commission is the EU government, just not in name. Now, why does this matter? It's just a name after all, but names are important, especially in politics, and this might actually explain why the Commission is not simply called what it really is, a government. The EU has always had an uneasy relationship with its national governments. It has consistently gained power over decades, but throughout that, governments have been reluctant to give away their power. Even when governments do favour more integration, the very idea of it remains extremely politically sensitive in some quarters. To call the Commission a government could empower it in the public eye. Not only could that decrease the influence of national governments, but it might also be a rude awakening for citizens who are reluctant about deeper integration but are unaware that the Commission is essentially a government. But there are upsides to calling it what it is. So long as there is a European Union, it will have a government, and governments should be seen and held to account. A lot of skepticism about the EU is because people simply don't understand it. They don't know what it does or how it works. Naming the Commission a government would make its purpose clear, placing it at the center of the public eye and highlighting both its shortcomings and achievements. The media could cover its key people, helping the public get to know them. With this understanding, citizens would be better able to demand change and hold the EU to account. That would help the EU address its shortcomings, enabling it to be at the top of its game in helping citizens in their daily lives. So, the Commission is the EU government, just not in name.